My name is Isla Katz, and this is the video reflection for the Chicano Latino Freshman Seminar at the University of Minnesota. In the past, there are many social movements, but I chose to look at the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender social movements. These social movements had goals of social acceptance of sexual and gender minorities. Various communities have worked not only together, but also independent of each other in various ways. The LGBT movement organized today are made up of a wide range of political activism and cultural activities such as lobbying and street marches, social groups, support groups, and community events, magazines, films, and literature, academic research and writing, and even business activity. A little history of the LGBT movement. In the 18th and 19th century Europe, same-sex sexual behavior and cross-dressing were widely considered to be socially unacceptable and were serious crimes under sodomy and sumptuary laws. Lastly, the 1990s saw the emergence of many LGBT youth movements and organizations such as gay straight alliances in high schools and youth-specific activism such as the National Day of Silence. This movement definitely had a lot of opposition by a variety of individuals and organizations. They may have a personal, moral, political, or religious objection to gay rights, homosexual relations, or gay people. Opponents have said same-sex relationships are not marriages, that legalization of same-sex marriage will open the door for legalization of polygamy, that is unnatural, and that it encourages unhealthy behavior. The current social movement is the United Farm Workers, and their goal is to provide farm workers and other working people with the inspiration and tools to share in society's bounty. Their core values are integrity, the si se puede attitude, which is the embodiment of a personal and organizational spirit that promotes confidence, courage, and risk-taking, innovation, nonviolence, and empowerment. The United Farm Workers of America was founded in 1962 by Cesar Chavez, so right about when the LGBT movement was becoming slightly more radical. It's the nation's first successful and largest farm workers union currently active in 10 states. The United Farm Workers continues to organize in major agricultural industries across the nation. Recent years have witnessed dozens of key UFW union contract victories. So there are very similar points in the past and current social movements. This includes they both have experienced opposition, both got many different people to come together to work towards a common goal. They definitely had clear goals that were set in advance. They have had long histories of successes as well as setbacks, and both groups had something to say to the majority of the people. They were also different from each other. For one, they obviously addressed very different issues, and it seems as though the UFW was more of a single group and the LGBT had many groups within the big one. I have an affinity to the UFW social movement because we have read and talked about it slightly in class, and I made a timeline for it. The Chicano rights timeline, and here's that. And I'll read 3 key points. 1965, President Johnson delivers Commencement Equality in America. September 1965, agricultural workers organizing committees, Filipina field hands joined workers, Great Boycott. And then 1973, January 23rd, Chicano students occupy a building and present a list of demands about classes specifically for ethnic studies to Yakima Valley College. And lastly, 1988, Reagan appoints the first Hispanic Secretary of Education, Laura F. Cavazoa. So here's that. A particular topic we addressed in class was Latino identity. Identity formation can be a difficult process for adopted kids, but the process of identity development is compounded as a result of environmental factors. So this is for everyone: prejudice, discrimination, stereotyping, etc. From there, there's a period of exploration into their race or culture of origin, and then this exploration process may include 4 different stages: Preencounter, encounter, awakening or immersion, and internalization and commitment. I thought this was great to learn about because it largely came from the child's perspective. A particular topic that related to my own identity was white privilege. I never fully understand the extent of it until I read Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack by Peggy McIntosh. And it says that whites are carefully taught not to recognize white privilege, so the oppressiveness is unconscious. So then she goes on to point out many things white people can do without worrying. And I found a couple of these interesting. A couple of them are, I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed. I can turn on the TV or open to the front page of the paper and see people of my race widely represented. Whether I use checks, credit cards, or cash, I can count on my skin color not to work against the appearance of financial liability. I can be pretty sure that if I ask to talk to the person in charge, I will be facing a person of my race. The one that I really hadn't thought about was I can choose blemish cover or bandages in flesh color and have them more or less match my skin. And so I have a couple of examples of what she's talking about. So we have Band-Aids here, a manager, and just like a commercial of someone shopping. And then here's a T-Mobile commercial. But obviously there is more diversity now, so I did print out a couple of other commercials. Here is another T-Mobile commercial and Law and Order. So there's that. So I've started realizing all of this privilege, so that's kind of where I'm at in my personal development.